It was about 12 years ago, 2011 actually time. And when the original Masalawala started, there was no Chintan, just my dad and I, and we thought people might be excited by it, and they weren't. Just a little tidy restaurant that just existed in the Lower East Side. So it took time for it to take off, and there's only so much financial support you can provide a restaurant. So
Sure.
we, over time, we felt, well, nobody's ordering the Bengali stuff. People just want the chicken tikka masala. So
Right.
you slowly lean towards that to make the business successful. But somewhere I felt that maybe I was defeated. I felt for a little
Sure.
bit, but it stayed with me for a very long time. And I wanted that resurgence to happen when I was really ready.
Yeah, it was funny, like when we, so Masalawala closed, and then we didn't know, what we were going to do with it. And one fine day we found this location, and both of us loved it. We walked in, we loved this location.
This Park Slope location.
Yeah, it wasn't like this. It was totally different. Like it was like totally different, and we walked in, but there was something about this location which excited us, and we both of us said, we should take this one. We didn't know what we were gonna do.
Yeah.
And then at some point, Roni says, "What if we do a Masalawala?" And I said, "Let's think about it." And then I had a chat with his dad, and I said, "Why did you make Masalawala? Like, what was the reason?" And I could see in his eyes, he was like, "I wanted to sell Bengali food, but I couldn't succeed." And I said, "Let's sell Bengali food then."
That is one of the things that I really did notice while I was spending time there is what you were talking about earlier, throughout the subcontinent, not eating, not knowing, not having places to go eat different types of Indian food. I'm starting to see the chefs in India, the restaurateurs in India, looking at America, looking at what's happening in London, and that's influencing what's starting to emerge in India, which I think is such a strange, full circle, but actually kind of fantastic that people who have left the country and built a space for the country in other parts of the world are now influencing what's happening at home. And that might just be my observation, my opinion.
No, I think you're right. I think there's two different components to this. So one is we have somewhere looked to the West to look at the indication of, oh, pizza is cool, right? That vibe.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, beyond pizza, you're starting to get Hillsong. It's like, wait, that actually people who are non-Indians are responding to this.
Right.
That's really interesting. We didn't think it was possible. Now that's the external side of it. The internal side of it is maybe somewhere here, because we have such an open canvas, it gives us the audacity to try these things. America doesn't really have that kind of roots for Indian food. It's still new.
Right.
So it gives us the audacity to actually try something and say, you've never tried this. You didn't know what it was. Might as well, start somewhere 8, steps ahead and see what happens.
Yeah.
And somehow we seem to be crawling forward.
But I think what happens is that back in India now, I think a lot of people are philosophically understanding the concept of what needs to be done. What was happening some time back or like a few years back was that we were trying to eat a recipe that was working well in the market. Like let's say some recipe picked up somewhere in one corner of the world, like it just on the international scale. Now everybody is doing an Indianized version of it.
Right.
But they were not putting a thought to it as to what is it about those recipes in India, how equivalent they are. Now let's give an example. Like if you look at chana poda as a dessert, it's a dessert which is few hundred years old. It's not like a current dessert. It's made in India for a few hundred years old, and it's very similar to the Basque burnt cheesecake.
Right.
Very similar. But we would appreciate a burnt cheesecake more than to say that chana poda is good.
Around the world, America, India, I think Indians are starting to find a sense of self.
Yes.
And that, it took a few generations. It took a little more purchasing power. It took the creation of a little bigger middle class. But somewhere, I remember growing up in the 80s, where we always felt like we were walking on thin ice.
Yeah.
So for you to try and find this sense of self and be so self-motivated to say who you are, felt like a futile effort.
Right.
It somewhere felt, take it easy.
Black sheepy.
Yeah, take it easy. Just put your head down, get back to work, and make sure you have food on the table.
Right.
But today, I think we have seen around the world from CEOs and different personalities that are rising, where a good chunk of the population are not worried about, will I have food on the table? But now I can think about, what is my self-actualization? This whole, I always talk about it as the whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all of that. It's, if you look at the population, that's essentially what it's following. You're
Right.
actually moving towards a direction where you're starting to question, well, who am I?
Right.
Like there's a dish called dab chingri, and it's actually dab means coconut and chingri means prawns.
Okay.
And it's a prawn which is cooked inside the coconut, and you're supposed to use the coconut water, and the malai inside the thing is actually a part of this dish.
Okay.
Now, you know, today in Western world we talk about sustainability.
Yeah.
Like dab chingri is a prime example of sustainability, where it's a coastal place. So coconut is grown over there. It's free of cost. Seafood is always there. They made a dish out of it, cook the entire dish within the coconut, and they use every part of coconut to make that dish. You know, like, but a lot of restaurants, what they'll try to do is they'll actually make the same dish but not serve it in coconut because they think it's not cool.
We are doing the version that someone would eat at home. If it's a humble dish, then so be it.
You look from a consumer point of view, that how is he gonna enjoy it? What are we here for? We are here to make sure that your experience and the value for money that you get out of that experience makes you feel happy and go happy.
Caught my eye. I love roe. I think of it as like the adult form of Pop Rocks. I've never seen roe in an Indian dish. I didn't even know that we had roe, which sounds like a very ignorant thing to say because obviously we have fish. So please explain this to me.
So it's a very phenomenal thing, and you have answered yourself here. Roe was something which was given, like if you're a regular customer in that fish shop, you go buy fish, you take this free.
Keep them on. Are they cooked into dishes? Are they sprinkled on top?
I'll explain. What they do is, a lot of places they actually pan sear it
Okay.
or deep fry it,
Interesting.
and you actually mix it with the rice or something and eat it. You don't eat it with bread in them. Most of the times you so you have the rice, you put your ghee, you'll put your fish eggs, you'll put the curry, mix it with your hand and have it.
Put it in there, and it just, the tamarind gets soaked in. So we tried all these versions. The version that Chintan really wanted to serve was probably the most humble version that you can think of, which is how someone, an actual fisherman, would be eating in their homes.
And how is that?
It's literally with a slight touch of spices,
Okay.
steamed. You're really not doing too much. And he took the entire meal. This is the one dish that he created a composition out of an entire meal. So he took all the components of what creates that fisherman's meal: the rice, the green chili, the salt, the spices, the steamed fish roe, a little touch of eggs, all of those things, and he created layers. It's served in a little bowl, so you actually cut through
what
it.
happens is, so then what we had to do is we had to rethink, we had to go back, saying that how can we make sure that the consumer eats it in a right way, because every time we can't go and pinpoint. So what we had to do is we actually created a layer of it. So it's rice, ghee, and then the fish is there, and we steam it with it.
But besides the general staffing stress that everybody in the industry all over the world seems to be having right now, with people not wanting to come back to the industry and having not as much of a pool to hire within, how are you staffing your kitchens with not only hands, but hands that understand how to make these dishes that no one was ever taught in culinary school?
It is purely commitment and training. It's how much you are committed to build a strong team.
Right.
And as this is the perfect prelude to that question that we had before, that if I can share the exact vision of a recipe that I have with you,
Right.
like you said, I can share this recipe and somebody can make it right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We share this recipe in a right way, handheld people till the time they get it right,
Right.
and just keep on working on it. I'll give you one more example over here. Like if you look at the cocktail menu and everything, the cocktails and every name of the cocktail is specifically based on West Bengal and everything. Like everything around it has a story and everything. And somebody will look at the menu will think an Indian person has made this thing.
Right.
It's actually not Indian. It's this lady over there behind you, very talented Lucia. She's not from India. She's from Mexico, and she actually the funniest thing which happened is there's a cocktail named Munmun Sen. She's an actress. You haven't heard of her?
No.
Oh my god.
My knowledge of Bollywood is
No,
very
so
little.
that's like her mother was an actress. She was a model and an actress. Her
Okay.
daughters are an actresses. And Roni was in Calcutta a few days back, and she actually contacted and she asked him, "How did you name it Munmun Sen?" And he shared the story how this girl does it. She actually sent a handwritten letter and a gift for her.
When we were developing the menu and I was doing sleepless night, literally, I think it was like 3 months where all I watched and all I heard were Indian music and movies. I was watching Moonlight, which is Munmun Sen, and it was like the most heartbreaking story, yet like powerful. And I was just developing the drink with guava and a little cucumber and vodka. And it's like, it's a martini glass, so the martini itself is an iconic glass. And I was thinking, well, who could be that playful? Who could be that beautiful? Who could be that refreshing? Like, who could embody such a cocktail? And I was like, it can only be Munmun Sen. Like, that 4 months from then, Ron himself would come back with a little gift and a handwritten note from Miss Munmun Sen herself.
Amazing.
I think that was such a kind reminder of what food and arts does. It makes people come together, tell stories, and create connections that will last you a lifetime, right? And this is the bracelet. I wear it every single day now.
Oh my
during
god, that's
service
so sweet.
to
All right, y'all. What a fan-fucking-tastic meal. I am so full. My head is slightly spinning from that conversation. Maybe it was all the cocktails. I'm just kidding. I feel totally fine. But it is just so riveting for me to be able to sit down and have these conversations with Roni and Chintan. I am forever grateful that they take time out of their busy schedules to talk to me and to talk to you guys about their restaurants and about their approach to serving Indian food in America, of all places. As an Indian kid growing up in the States, I had a very difficult relationship with desi food. I loved the dal, I loved the sabzis, I loved all the Indian dishes that my mom cooked at home, but I would hate it when she would do it because I would end up smelling like masala, who wants to be the smelly Indian kid in school. Now, fast forward, as an adult, it is so fantastic to see Indian food celebrated so widely all over the world, especially in America, where I consider to be home. Thank you so much to Roni and Chintan for giving me their time today and for serving us such a fabulous meal. Thank you to the entire staff, Ryan for the excellent service, all the amazing cocktails. Next time you guys are in Brooklyn or in Park Slope, check out Masalawala if you can get a reservation. See you guys next time.